I like politicians. I like politicians because I like democracy. You can't have democracy without politicians. But I love this politician. I love him not only for who he is as a politician, but also for who he is as a human being. If I told you that I've known Ben since he was a college student, you would probably look at him and say, well, which you feel is probably 4 or 5 years ago.
Yeah, right.
But it's actually been close to 20. I think you would be surprised at the experiences this person has had, even though he's quite young. After finishing law school at Columbia, Ben was a securities lawyer on Wall Street. Before that, he worked in the West Wing of the White House, and he's orchestrated the advance team's global itinerary for 2 U.S. presidents, as well as then Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. He's moonlighted as a university professor, and he was once called Salt Lake City's most effective, maybe ever, legislative lobbyist. He is a former University of Utah student body president and a former Utah State senator. He grew up in a working class family in West Bountiful. He worked on a Davis County farm at age 12 and had part-time jobs since then. When Ben was a college student, we were in a boat on the Congo River. How many of you have done that? No, there's a bunch in here. Yeah. And for those that don't know it, this river is the most holy river in Hinduism. And Varanasi is the most holy city. And Hindus want to die there because it's there's an energy, as I'm told, there's an energy force field that allows them to go to heaven and avoid the continual death and rebirth cycle. And so Ben and I are on Jesus on, and we're floating down, and Ben pulls out a water bottle, an empty water bottle, reusable, and he puts it into the Ganges and collects this old water. And so I remarked that he takes it home, and he acknowledged that. Then we floated down the river and then watched the cremations. And the priests are cremating newly deceased people. And they use sandalwood to do the cremations. And the fires get very hot, but sometimes it can't really burn all the, not really shaking it, burn all the parts. And so as we were watching, I presume the priest picked up the ilium bone, that's the big bone of the pelvis, that hadn't burned, and flung it into the river. So after this, we went back upstream, and I looked over at Ben, and he was when I met Ben, he was courting Julie. He would donate, or he'd actually sell his blood at a plasma center in order to pay for dates with her. How romantic is that? They now had 4 children. After returning to Utah, Ben became mayor of Becker's lobbyist for the legislature. Some jokingly said that he was needed up there because he spoke Mormon. Democrats and Republicans agreed that McAdams was extremely effective, and he had a long list of accomplishments. According to the Salt Lake Tribune, former Republican Senate Majority Leader credited Ben's temperament. He keeps his emotions in check and stays objective. He never burns bridges. Kurt Bramble said he brings a willingness to find solutions and not necessarily just posture. Ben was a hero for brokering the deal for Salt Lake City's anti-discrimination ordinances. Ben spent hours negotiating in a living room with Senator Chris Brothers in order to make that happen. Senator Bramble said that McAdams stands as a bridge between different worlds. Ben always downplays his influence, saying that what he does is just simply build coalitions. Senator Stevenson said Ben was the city's most effective voice on Capitol Hill in decades. He marveled at the impressive role McAdams played in winning the LDS Church's endorsement of the anti-discrimination measures. Ben is an active foreman, returned missionary to Brazil, and he finds sitting down with church leaders to discuss issues very natural. Ben is now mayor of Salt Lake County, and you can tell that he's a very different type of leader because of the issues that he gets involved with. These are not issues that someone wanting to seek the election would pick. He wants to focus on early childhood education. An editorial in Deseret News said that his pay for success model is an ingenious approach. By doing this, the county isn't just funding more government programs, it's paying directly for specified outcomes. If those outcomes aren't produced, the government simply doesn't pay. And said that the people are tired of the debate between people who say we need more programs and those that say we need fewer. Where we can all agree is that we need to look for ways for government to spend money more efficiently and more effectively. And the last issue I'll talk about that he's involved himself in is homelessness. Again, not something one would pick to be popular. He's piggy mad because he wants to make our community a better place. He recently had the pleasure of holding a town hall meeting in Draper, where he listened to 1,000 people scream at him for 4 hours. According to Deseret News, he was asked if he felt that situation as damaged his political career. McAdams answered with a smile, yes. I knew when I accepted this task that it would come with consequences for me personally, he said. But this work isn't about me personally, it's about doing the right thing for people who are in crisis. If I have to pay a personal price for moving this work forward, it's a price I'm willing to pay. I ran for office to make a difference in McAdams, not to have a job. You can tell why about this guy. A true public servant. Please welcome Mayor McAdams.
You keep talking for another 30 minutes. Thank you, Scott. What Scott didn't tell you is that where we met was when Scott was an aspiring politician running for office, and I was part of his campaign staff. And it, I have to say that politics doesn't pay well, which is what led me to plasma. If politics had paid better, I wouldn't have had to do that. But what a great experience to learn. My first job in politics literally was working on the Lebanon campaign. A much better place if we had Scott winning a few elections, but I'm happy to do it. I learned from him and inspired me to go into public service. When I was in law school, I had a professor who had served as the Attorney General of Maine, and I went to him one day after class and told him that I was interested in public service and that I thought I might move back home to Utah and run for office someday. And he said to me, I have a bit of advice that I'd give anybody who's thinking about running for office. having done it myself. He said, my advice for you, don't do it. and I persisted and said, no, I really would love to get back to my hometown and go back to serve in public service. And I kind of said, no, I mean it. My advice would be don't do it. And when he saw that I was still persisting, he said, well, let me give you maybe a second bit of advice. He said that if you're going to go into public service, he said there are two types of public service. There's those who are like a thermostat and those who are like a thermometer. A thermostat is a tool. There's one right back there on the corner of the wall. Well, a thermometer is a tool that will tell you what the temperature is. So pull it out and you can see what the temperature is. So the thermostat will change the temperature. You go over and set the thermostat to 77 degrees, it will become 77. So if you're going to make the sacrifice to go into public service, it doesn't pay well, it doesn't, the lifestyle's not great, so work hard. At any given time, a lot of people will not like you, will be upset with you. You just hope that it's fewer than 50%. If that's the lifestyle you're going to choose, don't do it to be a thermometer. Just tell people what the temperature is. You see that with some public service, that you know where the public sentiment is and they'll reflect exactly that. So if you're going to make those personal sacrifices, go into public service, do it to be a thermostat, to change the temperature in the room. And that's a story that I've always stuck with me, that I've thought about a lot in my public service. I have a quote hanging on the wall in my office from John F. Kennedy that says, now is the time for boldness and energy. And I put that where I'm sitting in my meetings and I can reflect and faced with a decision about holding down a job or being bold and rising to the challenges that we face in the community. To be reminded that I've chosen to make some sacrifices, and to do that, I want to be a thermostat. I want to be part of making this a better community. We're lucky to live in the place we live. We have a lot of great things going for us, but I want to be part of holding on to that and making this better. So thank you for inviting me to join you today. I was asked to talk about my vision for the county, so I think I'll go over a few things maybe briefly. I want to leave some time for questions, and so I'll leave some time to answer any questions you may have. When I think about Salt Lake County, I think about all of the opportunities that we have ahead of us. Since my first day on the job, I set a clear mission that wherever county government functions don't reflect the world that we live in, we will change. And we have seen immense change in the Salt Lake metro area over the last 5 years that I've been mayor, really over the last 10 or 20 years. And we live in an area that is growing so fast. We live in a metro area that just 20 years ago, we had islands of cities surrounded by open space. And today, the Salt Lake metro area is populated north to south, east to west. There are over 1.1 million people living in Salt Lake County, almost 2 million people in the Salt Lake metro area. We are growing so fast, and the pace of that change is accelerating as we go further down this exponential growth curve. And it put us in a place, I think, where Salt Lake County government needed to evolve, catch up to the world that we now live in. And we have changed over the last 5 years. Most of this change needs to be community driven. And the county has been an eager partner and at times a convener to help to make this change happen. This year I launched what we're calling Salt Lake County's Opportunity Agenda. On my list, the opportunity for good paying jobs that my kids and grandkids and your kids and grandkids can find career success right here in the Salt Lake Valley. They don't have to leave the state to advance their careers and grow professionally. There are opportunities right here in the Salt Lake Valley. The access to safe and affordable housing, the opportunity to access quality health care and education, the opportunity for recreation and fun. Now, speaking first and foremost about jobs. Jobs and economic development are the key to opportunities. So much revolves around good paying quality jobs. In 2015, we launched our Global Cities Initiative, working with the Brookings Institution and JP Morgan to develop an export plan. Part of our economic development goals is to recognize that the world around us has changed. We now live in a global society, and it's imperative that the Salt Lake metro area be competitive in this global marketplace. That we attract imports and we sell exports to a fast developing world. And so that is the crux of our global cities initiative. We know that export-focused jobs will be more stable and lasting than jobs that are just focused on local economy. But these export-focused jobs will support local jobs around them and have a multiplier effect in our economy. So we're focusing our economic development strategy on exports with specific steps that local businesses, that civic and government leaders can take to promote economic development. Where individual income is not keeping up with the cost of living, we need more high-paying jobs. And research shows, as I said, that export jobs that are focused on exports pay higher wages and have lower unemployment levels. As it relates to housing and solutions to homelessness have been a focus of my administration, especially over the last couple of years, as you may have seen in the press. And that Draper meeting was the last of 7 meetings. Draper certainly got a lot of the headlines, but Christy was at many of those meetings as well and helped with our Christy Chambers with some of our work on what we had to do the last couple months in selecting a location for a homeless shelter. Draper was probably the longest and the worst, but only by a fraction. Yeah, it was big. Yeah. We had a few others that were almost 1,000 people and at least 3 hours or more. So I would agree, not a thing you do if you're intending to win another election. But, we know that the opportunity for safe and affordable housing should be available for every Salt Lake resident. The solution to homelessness is more than just providing a meal and a bed to someone who's in crisis. It's helping them to get back on their feet, to regain the dignity that comes with self-reliance and independence, helping them to find employment where employment may be the obstacle in housing, helping them to find housing, helping them to overcome a substance addiction or to learn to manage mental health issues that they can become stable and self-reliant. The issue of homelessness is one that we've been working on in this community for decades, and one that, in particular, I've been very focused on for over 2.5 years now. But we know that the ultimate solution to homelessness is housing, and that's also something we're working on as a housing initiative. When we looked at this and said we wanted to address homelessness, we convened homeless service providers, over 30 homeless service providers, government from the state level, from the county level, the federal government, and city government, saying that if we're going to really impact this problem and make it better, we have to have all of the players at the table working in a unified fashion towards solutions. So we convened our collective impact committee on homelessness that brought together people to work on this process. When we launched the process, Salt Lake County assumed 6 key responsibilities. That was that we would guide the development of a shared vision and strategy, that we would build public will toward solutions, that we would advance policy, and that we would mobilize funding for the solution. It's still a work in progress, but I think for the most part we've met those key responsibilities and are now moving toward implementation of those policies that we've identified. The opportunity for public education is enshrined in the Utah Constitution, changing topics to education. It's also one of the best investments that we can make in our kids. As parents, as civic leaders, and employers, that is one of the best investments we can make. Public education has been the ladder to success for countless generations of Utah families. But recently, education has also become a dividing line that affects outcomes such as Utah's social and economic mobility and the livelihood that they will home. Salt Lake County doesn't run the schools, and when I was running for mayor for the first time, now 2015, it was 15, 16 when I was candidate, sorry, 2011 and 12, the first time I was candidate for mayor. We talked a lot about the need to focus on education. I had people telling me, you know, that education, county doesn't do anything with the schools. It's not a county responsibility. And I said that there's nothing more important to the people of the Salt Lake metro area than getting that right. And it's something that the mayor of Salt Lake County will focus on. Not that I'm proposing that Salt Lake County be over the schools, but advancing good education policy and appropriate level of funding for schools. I may be biased when I come from my mother was a school teacher as well, so she can say that. Salt Lake County does offer the most comprehensive library system in the state. There are books and computers and literacy programs, and other programs are free and open to all. Access to healthcare is fundamental to building a healthy community. The public sector has long been in the healthcare arena in a major way. Our health department, for example, and I see Russ Booth here, who's on the board of Salt Lake County Health. Thank you. We are on the front lines of disease prevention, whether it's vacancies for kids or food inspections. County health clinics offer low-cost healthcare options for mothers, babies, kids, and students, including important vaccinations. It's important. This is important for our families, and it's also a fiscally responsible thing to do in our community. One of the best ways for us to stay healthy is also to get regular exercise. The opportunity to exercise, to play, to have fun, enjoy with friends and family is abundant in Salt Lake County, and those opportunities are expanding. In November, thanks to the voters of Salt Lake County, we passed a ZAC bond, the Parks and Recreation Bond, that offers expanded opportunities, such as a new rec center in Draper, a new regional park in South Jordan, a new regional park in Magna. The voter approval also gives us opportunity to invest in maintenance and improvements in trails and golf courses, the equestrian park, and inclusive playgrounds built for kids of all abilities. I believe, as residents of the Salt Lake Valley, we live in a place that's ripe with opportunity. Our job now is to seize these opportunities and to act on them. We need to make deliberate decisions that will help shape the future of our community. So now I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have and go through these topics.
Can you comment on your perspective how the birth of Mill Creek City?
Yeah, I'll repeat the question. Comment from my perspective how the birth of Mill Creek City is going. This is one of the areas where, when I said that Salt Lake County, the world around us is changing, and it's important for Salt Lake County to keep up with that change, to reinvent ourselves. So one of the topics that I dove into when I was first elected mayor is when I was a candidate for mayor in 2012, we also saw Mill Creek incorporations on the ballot in 2012. And so the hot topic I heard from a lot of people on both sides of that discussion when I was candidate. And ultimately in 2012 that was voted down. Mill Creek chose not to become a city. But I looked at that and I thought, looking at the large areas of unincorporated Salt Lake County, Mill Creek being the largest with a population of about 60,000, we had about 160, 170,000 people living in unincorporated Salt Lake County. In fact, if unincorporated Salt Lake County were a city, it would have been at the time the second largest city in the state, right after Salt Lake City, almost the size of Salt Lake City. So the services that we provide, I have to say that Salt Lake County has been two governments under one roof. We are the Salt Lake County government of the Salt Lake metro area, providing health services and recreation services for all of the cities in the Salt Lake Valley. But we are also the city government of the unincorporated areas, and serving the city government almost the size of Salt Lake City, and that much alone. And one of the things that we saw is that, as I called it, this death by 1,000 cuts. We saw areas of anytime unincorporated county would develop some area that would contribute positively to the tax base, that area would be annexed. And you look at the townships of the townships of Mill Creek, Magna, Kearns, and they have little jagged cuts out of it everywhere. That's where a gas station would be, and the gas station was annexed to the adjacent city because it provided tax revenue. We saw this, it was a death by 1,000 cuts. The annexation, small annexations were happening every day. It was undercutting the identity of the communities and undercutting their financial ability to maintain themselves as a community forever. So we launched an effort we call community preservation, recognizing that if we did nothing, if we just allowed the status quo to continue as it was, that within a period of time, who knows how long, it could have been years or it could have been a few short years, or maybe 10 to 15 years, but this would get to the point that it was no longer financially sustainable, and you have to hold up shop, and these communities would go away. And they'd be incorporated into adjacent areas. And many people, what I saw as I was a candidate in Mill Creek, but also in Magna and places like Kearns, there was a deep connection to these communities. They didn't want to cease to exist. But yet, from where I was sitting, I knew that that was their future. So we launched a community preservation, and I said, whether or not an area chooses to be a city, whether it few things that we need to put it into. It's these piecemeal annexations, the death by 1,000 cuts, the tax base is constantly eroded away. And we need local leaders to sit at the table to make decisions. The county, I think the county does a good job of putting ourselves in the shoes of the residents and making the best decision we can. But that is a poor substitute for someone who lives and breathes and shops, worships and recreates in the community, knowing what a community is. So I want locally elected representatives and boundaries that are fixed, that can't be annexed against the will of. So we passed legislation that created this and put on the ballot the decision for whether Mill Creek and all of the townships, Kearns and Magnet, should become a city or become a new entity that we call a metro township. We took this concept of township that existed before. And a lot of people gave a lot of credence to this notion of township, but legally speaking, a township was had no status. Township, if you were formed as a township, you didn't have boundary protection, you didn't have locally elected officials. What township status gave a community was the ability to make non-binding recommendations to the county council and so we created Metro Township. That a Metro Township that now exists today is a municipality. They have a locally elected council that makes zoning decisions, passes ordinances, that does budgeting for that area. And we put this proposition then to all of the townships to say, do you want to become a city or do you want to become a metro township? Mill Creek chose to become a city. The other townships chose to become a metro township. And then the following year, they elected a mayor and councilman. Well, the city of Mill Creek elected a mayor and council members. The metro townships elected council members and a chair. The function of the chair is very much like the mayor, the same regard, but and they're all now up and going as of January this year. So I would say there's certainly growing pains that can be expected when you're creating a new government to represent these entities. And we're working through those growing pains right now. I think, and I'll speak for all of them, but in particular, the question was aimed at Mill Creek. It has been great. I mean, the partnership between Salt Lake County and the newly elected leadership of Mill Creek is a strong one. We've had issues we've had to work through. We've had disagreements. We haven't always seen eye to eye. But we're tackling those issues one by one and working through them. Mill Creek, it's so exciting to see Mill Creek, but also even these other communities setting a trajectory. What do they want to be? What do they want their areas to become? Setting goals for themselves. It really has been lacking over the last couple of decades. So I think I'm happy with where I see it going. We're having to, there's a steep learning curve as people are literally feel like they're, well, not literally, but feel like they're drinking from a fire hose. There's so much coming at them they've got to address, but I think they're rising to the challenge. They're making the hard decisions they need to, and it's inspiring to me to see them move forward and building a community that they want for themselves. I see a couple here in the back, and we'll come back up here. So, yeah.
Many other municipalities that have stepped up on green flags,
Great, thank you. That's a softball, but thank you. I'll answer it. Bonanza Flat. The question is about Bonanza Flat and to preserve Bonanza Flat, which is a 39-acre parcel of open space. If you go up Big Copper Canyon and cross Gardner Pass, right as you go over the ridge line, so the county boundaries and ridge line cross just the other side of the ridge line, you enter, I think you go through a corner of Summit County and you're in Wasatch. Bonanza Flat, the Girl Scout camp up there, maybe familiar with this very beautiful, pristine area, very popular place for many Salt Lake County residents to go up to go hiking through that area. It really is nice. Beautiful scenery. You look down into Heber Valley. So that area is beautiful and loved by, cherished by many in Salt Lake Valley. Also, prime development real estate. So there's been a competition between a developer who would love to develop this land and put in some high-end homes, and we've really changed the nature of that area. Probably changed the nature of the whole central Wasatch. There would be the pressure to plow that street, to keep it open year round. You're going to see a whole urbanization of that area of Wasatch. So Park City put forward an initiative to preserve that, to buy that land and put it in conservation. It passed a bond initiative last fall for $25 million to preserve that. Well, they got into bidding more with the developer, and the price came out to $37 million to reserve it. So there's 25 million the Park City has on the table that they're trying to raise an additional 12 million. So you're seeing Salt Lake City chip in, Central Utah, because this is watershed. It's actually, even though it's in Wasatch County and drains, it drains into Deer Valley, so part of the water we drink is on watershed. So the urbanization of that, those 37 acres, will have a detrimental effect to our watershed. We've seen a lot of people step up. There's a funding gap of, I believe, 3 million right now, 3.5 million roughly. I put forward a proposal to the County Council to ask the county to fund that 3 million. We are in the business of protecting and preserving open space throughout the Salt Lake Valley. We've done that in Missouri, we've done it in the Wasatch, we've done it in many cities. We had the opportunity to do that without really upsetting our budget in any way. I earmarked the state negotiated for the accountants in the room, we appreciate this. So, we had this state entered in this agreement with Amazon. That Amazon's going to now start collecting the sales tax. So that gave us a little bit of a bump in our budget. So I went to the council and said, let's take that bump and put it to preserve this open space for future generations. We had a 5-4 vote on my council, it was 5 against it, 4 for it, who were concerned that the parcel land, just because the parcel land happened to be a stone throw that was outside of the county boundaries, so it shouldn't be preserved in an absolute county boundaries. I understand that concern. I disagree because I've been up there. I don't use it frequently, but I've been up there. I'm going to say 90% of the use of that open space of Salt Lake County residents is right there access. Easiest access is from Big Mountain Canyon. So a lot of those residents are Salt Lake County residents, also Salt Lake County watershed. But I lost on that. Your question was, is there any effort to bring it back? Yes. We're trying to bring it back. We're trying to get the last vote on the Salt Lake County Council. I would just continue to weigh in and say how important it is to preserve this. The deadline for Park City to perform and pay for the land is June 15th, I want to say, when they're done paying. So the clock is ticking away. There's constant fundraising, moving closer and closer to that goal. The fear is that we may have 36 million or 35 million without that last contribution to Salt Lake County to use it all. I think it's a steal because Salt Lake County will get that type of open space and all it's going to cost us because, my proposal was 3 million. I'd be willing to, we're talking about a council that maybe something less than that, trying to get something significant, not significantly less than that, but something better. They're working on it, keep waiting. I saw one here and then we'll come back up here. And that's probably all the time we have. Thank you. That is one of the things I'm most proud of in my first term is this Pay for Success initiative. So this is, Scott referenced a little bit in the beginning, where oftentimes, government will fund a program. In that case, it was preschool. We know that if we can get at-risk kids into early learning opportunities, we can save a whole bunch of government spending on that. Kids who start school behind, they're more likely to need special ed, which is expensive. They're more likely to need intervention, whether it's teenage, they're more likely to become pregnant as teenagers, they're more likely to be committing crimes as juveniles, they're more likely to be jailed as adults. All of these detrimental things that happen simply because they're start school behind and they never catch up, they never socialize and integrate into the school system, and there's negative consequences for that. So we calculated how much we could save if kids started school at the same place as their peers, and then we went to Goldman Sachs and said, how about you pay for our preschool program? And if our kids are performing at grade level in first grade, second grade, through sixth grade, then we'll take the savings and pay back for having funds of the money for our preschool. Goldman liked it. They were looking to do something good in our community, but it was also they did their principal back. And we would save money and they'd be part of doing some social good. And so it was a good model. It actually got us international recognition. And the Lego Corporation asked me to come their corporate headquarters in Denmark to speak about this model, and it's something that's given Utah a lot of attention. We like the model so much. The question was if we're looking to replicate that in other social services areas. Well, we have, and we launched it in January. Similar, Golden didn't participate in this one, but we had philanthropy and banks come in, and they are paying for programs in homeless services and reducing recidivism. We know that if we can keep somebody out of homeless services, we will save money, and if we can keep people out of jail and going through the cycle of jail, we will save money. So we quantified how much we would save, and we approached private sector and said, we want you to pay for these programs. If the program succeeds, then we will take our savings and pay back. What I love about it is not only that it's responsible use of tax dollars, and it has a positive human return on investment, people better off, but it keeps us focused because of the private sector dollars. They're looking over the shoulder monthly, quarterly, weekly to see that these programs are working. Sometimes government will make an appropriation and then we'll come back in 5 years or 10 years and see how it's going. And if it hasn't been working, we may cut it, we may increase the funding to it and see if that helps. But you have 10 years of people who've gone through a program that we promised to help and didn't help them. So I like the fact that this is real time being evaluated and looked at because we have more people won't fall through the cracks in a 100 program and improve it. So we launched them in January. We call it our Home Not Jail program, and then the REACH program that not only REACH stands for. That's the two programs that we launched, and they're just starting to get people in. We signed the documents in January. I think the Home Not Jail program, that's the homeless system to keep homeless people out of jail and in housing, has about 15 people in it. It's been going for a few weeks now. About 15 people enrolled. It is part of the comprehensive work that we're doing overall homeless services in general. Yes.
Can you comment at all on the wideness on the south end of Salt Lake County, what's going on there with the master plan and so on, from the prison property in that area?
So the question is, can I enlighten or talk about what's happening at the point of the mountain with the relocation of the prison in that area? The status is right now there's the prison relocation. Sorry, not prison relocation. That's the decision to relocate. That's the point of the mountain commission. I was on both. I was on the prison relocation commission. I'm now on the point of the mountain commission that's looking at the master plan. We have counties represented, many cities in the south end of the valley. The notion there is that we want to make sure that we, the state will spend a lot to relocate that prison. And I was a no vote on the relocation of the prison. Not that it's a bad thing. I just didn't think that the decision we were quite ready to make that decision. Nevertheless, the decision was made, and so at that point I decided that my job was then to roll up my sleeves and be part of proving myself wrong and making a good decision. So we are, what we don't want to do is just have growth, everyday growth as normal happen. We'll do something special and try something special there, whether it's Silicon Slopes, bringing in high-tech jobs, export-focused jobs that we talked about. So that plan's underway. We've selected a planner to help us with that. Vision Utah is guiding the work on developing what that looks like, and that planning process is underway right now. And a lot of the right things are happening. We're evaluating what transportation infrastructure we need, what mass transit, what recreation infrastructure we need to make this a game changer for our state, not just a new place to develop.
When will you roll something out?
When will we roll something out? I would say, I think we're supposed to have something before the next legislative session. So right now, we haven't had a meeting in a couple of months. Envision Utah is busily working, and I expect we hope we have some updates in those. Anyway, great to be with you. Thank you.
Mayor McAdams, thank you. Thank you for your sharing and for your sacrifice.